Hey everyone, welcome back to Solo Party. My name is Kane, and today we are going to be playing the solo version of Masters to Mythics Behind the Magic from Baskerville Productions. The game revolves around this playmat here with your 8 magical runes. Each round, you're going to draw 2 of these master cards, which are going to tell you how you can interact with these runes. This card here shows you the different basic and advanced actions that could possibly be on the runes. Now, normally in a regular multiplayer game, there's going to be a huge stack of these Masters cards shuffled and randomly drawn each turn, but for the solo variation, you are going to grab a specific set of 14 actions. So for the solo variation, you're going to have 4 flips, 4 adjacent swaps, 2 moves, 2 diagonal swaps, 1 double flip, and 1 any swap. And so that deck is shuffled and placed on the side here. Now, the goal of the solo mode is to try to get to 30 points as quickly as possible. And the way you score points is by completing the Mythics up here in the Mythics market. The Mythics have a point value in the top left, as well as the recipe needed to complete them on the right side. That's going to be consisting of a lore book color, as well as a specific arrangement of the magical runes on your board. So in order to complete this Mythics, we will have to have 1 yellow lore book, as well as this arrangement of magical runes on our mat. And the way you're going to gain access to those lore books are by completing these different legend cards. And you can see the backs have different colors that correspond to the color lore books. So we have black, blue, yellow, and red. And everyone always starts out with 2 legend cards. Those are drawn before the mythics are placed, so you don't necessarily know what you're going to need. I just chose 2 of different countries that I thought were interesting, and so I ended up with a black lore book and a red lore book legend that I'll be trying to complete. And now these can be used for the any color lore book of those 2 mythics on the right, but I currently do not have a yellow lore book that I'm trying to complete in order to get to that mythics on the left. So after getting everything set up, drawing your 2 legends, and then revealing your 3 mythics, we can start the game by drawing our first 2 master cards. So now on this first turn, I have access to a flip action and a move action. Now, this move action is important to note. This is not an exchange action. So this is moving into an empty spot. So really, there are currently only 4 magical runes that could do that. Either one of these in a cardinal direction could then move to the center. Now, let's say, for instance, a move and a flip, neither of those do anything for me, and I would feel a lot better about just getting an exchange action in. I could forego my 2 actions on the Master's cards to perform 1 basic action. And now remember, the basic actions are specifically flips, moving, and swapping. So really, if I didn't need to flip or move, swapping is the only thing I would want to give those up for, because I already have access to 2 of the other basic actions. When looking to fulfill requirements on Legends or Mythics, it's important to note that you can complete those from any perspective. So this could be up and down, left to right. As long as it's not diagonal and in that order, that can be completed. So with that being said, we're going to start by moving our Destruction Magic to this spot. And even though we see that we need 2 Mentalisms for this left Mythics, we know we do not have a yellow lore book that we're going to be going for, and we have a lot of other options with the Prophecy Magic, so we are going to flip Mentalism into Prophecy. And we are unable to complete any Legends or Mythics, so that's going to end our turn, and we will discard our 2 Masters and draw 2 more. Now for our second turn, we have a flip and an orthogonal exchange. And on this turn, we have access to a flip and an orthogonal exchange. We're really hoping to draw into one of our diagonal exchanges soon, so we can get this to complete our Sun Wukong. So I don't think we want to mess with these magical runes right now. I don't really think we need to flip either, so let's do an orthogonal exchange between our Rebirth and Prophecy. We're not going to flip anything, so that is once again going to end our turn. And here we go. On this turn, we have access to a move and a diagonal exchange. So, like we said, we want to score that Sun Wukong, so we will use Minerva to get a diagonal exchange for our Destruction and our Prophecy. And now we can see that we have scored this black lore book in this direction. So we'll slide that under the mat to show what color lore book we have available to complete a mythic. And now we also have a move option, so let's go ahead and get one of our prophecies over here. And we, of course, always need to have two leaders. So we should have chosen one before we did that, but I still think that was a good play because that gets us close to one of our mythics on the far right. And since we know we need a yellow for that left mythics, let's go ahead and grab a legend from the yellow column. And we don't have anything else to complete, so that's going to be it for that turn, and we'll draw two new masters. Now, for this turn, we have an orthogonal exchange and a flip available to us, but there is a mythics we can score if we just do a basic action instead. So we are going to move our transformation rune into the center, and that's going to let us score this middle mythics. So we can see we have that exact formation right here, and we can spend any color lore book. So we are going to flip this lore book over to show that we have used it to pay for this mythics and score 5 points. And now we have 5 points on the board. We forego our two actions to use a basic action, so it's going to be the next turn with two new masters now. For this turn, we have a diagonal exchange and a flip available to us. And now these are both really great options for us this turn. Let me show you what I'm thinking here. For our flip, we can flip our prophecy and turn that into a mentalism and then use our diagonal exchange on our transformation and creation in order to complete Gerald Fitzgerald. And then that also sets us up for Sun Wukong, having our prophecy and then our creation, and then just a basic action away from getting our destruction where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and do that to score Gerald Fitzgerald. We'll start with a flip and then a diagonal exchange. And we can now score our Gerald Fitzgerald and put him into our available lore books. And now I can choose another leader, and let's take a blue this time and get a legend from Samaria. And now that is both of our actions, so we're on to the next turn. All right, so for this turn, we can flip any two runes, and we have an orthogonal exchange. Now, we could forego our two actions here and just score Sun Wukong by using a basic action, but I think we want to try to set ourselves up for some more mythic scoring because remember, the goal is to get to 30 points as fast as possible. So, the more often we're scoring mythics, the better. We will start with two flips of our prophecy and creation. Then we will do an orthogonal exchange of creation and rebirth. And we know next turn we're going to be able to complete that Mythics card because we still haven't drawn our any exchange for our rune. So we can put any rune basically where we need it to go for an exchange, which right now would be right here with these two to score out that Mythics on the left. But right now we haven't scored anything, so we're going to the next turn. And like I said, we now have our any exchange and an orthogonal exchange. So we will start with the any exchange for our levitation and our rebirth. And with that, we have our yellow lore book, as well as the correct arrangement of our magical runes to be able to score this Mythics. And now we still have an orthogonal exchange available to us. And with that, we're going to exchange a rebirth and a creation to get our blues closer together. And now we've run out of master cards in our deck, so we will shuffle our discard pile and go through it again. And this is part of the solo mode scoring to see how well you did. The fewer shuffles of your deck you score the points in, the better you've done. So we are now going on our second shuffle of the deck. And now we have an orthogonal exchange and a flip. So all of our mythics right now are a wild lore book. So we are looking to just kind of score one right now so we can start looking at those mythics again. And we've got the cards just for that. So with Dante, we are going to exchange our rebirth and our levitation. And then we're going to flip our levitation into a destruction. And with that, we'll be able to complete Simon Magus. So now we need another legend. Let's go ahead and take another Black Lore Book legend. And we're ready for our next turn. And for this turn, we have a flip and a move. And we don't have any numerologies on the board, but we have a lot of rebirth. So we are going to flip our numerology into a rebirth. And this gets us really close into scoring that middle mythics with these right here. So we don't want to do anything to mess that up. So let's go ahead and move our destruction down into this spot. And we're on to our next turn. And for this turn, we have two flips and an orthogonal exchange. And now that orthogonal exchange is exactly what we needed to score that middle mythics. So we are going to start with that. And we will exchange our mentalism with our creation. And now we can use our blue lore book as well as that magical runes positioning to score this middle mythics for another 6 points. We're now at 19 points, but we need to complete some more legends so we can score some more mythics. So we have two flips available to us. And we can get close to a Sun Wukong score by flipping our mentalism into a prophecy and our transformation into a creation. And I think I've called this one creation a couple times. That's the creation side. This is transformation. But now we'll go to the next turn. And for this turn, we have a movement and a flip. But I don't think we're going to get a lot of mileage out of those actions. So we will forego those two Masters cards to perform a basic orthogonal exchange with our destruction and our mentalism so we can score Sun Wukong. And we'll go ahead and take another red lore book now and get this Haitian legend, Papa Legba, and we'll be able to go to the next turn. This turn, we've drawn into a diagonal exchange and an orthogonal exchange, and that's going to be very useful for us to score another Mythics this round. We will start with a diagonal exchange between creation and rebirth, and then perform an orthogonal exchange between mentalism and rebirth. And then we can use our red lore book to score out that left Mythics, and that looks like Neptune, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, that is a Neptune right there for 5 more points. We have that exact match. And we're on to our next turn, getting really close to that 30 points now. And now for this turn, we have an any exchange and a flip. So there isn't a lot that we're going to be able to do to complete a legend or score mythics here. So we're going to try to do some setup, and we will start with our any exchange to move our rebirth and our creation. And I also think we will go ahead and flip a destruction into a levitation just so we can get a little bit closer to Janet, perhaps. And that will end that turn. And for the last turn of our second shuffle, we have an orthogonal exchange and a diagonal exchange. And so for this one, there is an easy route to scoring our Papa Legba. So we will be exchanging our rebirth and our levitation. And that completes Papa Legba. And we'll go ahead and replenish that with a blue. And now, since we have a red lore book, we can score any of those mythics at the top because Anubis requires a red and the others are wild. But with only a diagonal exchange available, I don't think we're going to be able to score any mythics this turn. But we can set ourselves up nicely by exchanging a rebirth and a mentalism. And now we'll be going for our third shuffle. And now for this turn, we have drawn in orthogonal exchange and a flip, but no matter what we drew for this turn, we could have foregone the two Masters cards to perform a basic action for an orthogonal exchange, because once we move our rebirth and our creation, we will be able to complete the Anubis Mythics. So, using our red lore book from Papa Legba, if we flip this Anubis card upside down, you can see that we still have completed that pattern. And that's going to score us another 7 points, putting us at 31 and completing the solo mode. And now, if you check the scoring section, you can see we got it through the third time, and so we are legendary levitators. Every time I've played this game, I've got it on the third time through the deck. I've been so close to getting it the second time through the deck, but it hasn't happened yet. So definitely let me know if you see any plays we could have made that would have shaved off that one turn for us to score Mythic. Masters to Mythics is a fairly light game mechanics wise, but you will be sitting there thinking, what is the best possible move I can make with these runes? Especially in the solo mode where you know the cards in your deck. So if you're paying attention, once you get through your deck almost all the way, you kind of know what's coming up. So your last two turns, you can kind of plan pretty well. So, Masters to Mythics is on Kickstarter right now. If this is the type of solo game you're looking for, easy to learn, but a lot of strategy and thinking still involved in how you can most efficiently use the Master cards available to you to complete those legends and score those mythics. And if the theme of this game appeals to you at all, the campaign is also offering multiple ways for you to be able to learn magic tricks in real life of your own. So definitely something pretty cool that you don't see too often. So definitely go check this out if that's up your alley. I'll of course have the link in the description. This has been Solo Party. My name is Kane. Thanks for watching.